Hello, welcome to Learning Math with Sanchez. In this particular video, we're going to learn how to solve simple equations using inverse operations. If you have not watched one of these videos, make sure you go ahead and watch that, and then come back to this video and watch how we solve simple equations, the inverse operations of multiplication and division. One more thing that I want to say is that, or that we should remember, is that the final results is called a solution or the solution. Sometimes we have one solution, we have multiple solutions, we have no solution. That's why I'm saying a solution. Not sure if that's grammatically correct. English is my second language. Anyways, the other thing that I want to remind you of is that when we have inverse operations, and the two inverse operations that we're going to be using here is multiplication and division. Division is the inverse operation of multiplication and vice versa. Okay, so let's take a look at example number one. Example number one is kind of fun. We have negative x divided by 5 equals to 3. Our goal is to find a number x that when we divide by 5 or negative 5, we get positive 3. So let's think about that. Sometimes we can get it right away, and sometimes we cannot. Now, our goal is to leave x alone, but x has to be left alone, and it has to be positive. It cannot be negative. Now, I'm going to rewrite this equation here. Negative x over 5 equals to 3 as negative 1 over 5 x is equal to 3. This is equivalent. Negative 1 over 5 x equals to 3 is equivalent to negative x over 5 equals to 3. Now that it's written this way, I can play around with it a little bit more, and it's easier to see what's happening. So I have a fraction, negative 1/5 times x equals to 3. Negative 1/5 times a number is equal to 3. Now, the question is, how can we get rid of that negative 1 over 5? The way that we do that is by multiplying by the reciprocal of that fraction. And the reciprocal, all it is flipping the denominator and the numerator. So instead of multiplying by negative 1 over 5, I'm going to multiply by negative 5 over 1. And what I do to one side, I'm going to do it to the other side. Now, since I am multiplying by the reciprocal of negative 1 over 5, which is negative 5 over 1, this is going to simplify to 1 positive x. And check out what happens here. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Negative 15 divided by 1 is just negative 15. And that is how we solve this problem. Let's go ahead and jump into problem number 2. It's actually much easier. We have 6 times the number equals to 30. And this number x is very easy to figure out if we know the products correctly. Well, we can say that x is equal to 5. But what is the algebra behind it? Well, if we use inverse operations, we see that 6 and x, they're multiplying. Well, and the opposite of multiplying here will be dividing by 6. The inverse of multiplying by 6 will be divided by 6. And I'm going to do that here too. So I'm left with x is equal to 30 divided by 6 is 5. And that one is an easy one to see, so I'm not going to check. Okay, here's the last example before you get to do some practice. We have pi times x is equal to negative 2 pi. And we need to solve, I forgot to mention, we need to solve for x. People tend to get very confused here because this is a Greek letter, but all we have to know is that this Greek letter is a number, is 3.14 da 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 da. It's a long number. So I'm going to treat pi as any number, okay? So I know that pi is being multiplied times x. And when I multiply pi times x, I get negative 2 pi. If I treat pi as a number, in this case as a coefficient, any coefficient, I see that the inverse operation of multiplying times pi will be to divide by pi. What I do to one side, I must do it to the other side. Now, check out what happens. I'm left with negative 2, pi divided by pi, cancels out as well. It will simplify to 1. Pi divided by pi is just 1. 1 times negative 2, that's negative 2. And that is it for these problems. Now, what I want you to do is get some practice here. Get some practice. I have 2 problems to check for understanding. Try them. And as you're trying them, pause the video first. Pause the video, try them, and then come back once we're finished, and I'm going to show you the answers. Okay, hopefully you paused the video. And now I'm going to solve these problems. Okay, here I have y divided by 3. We know that the opposite of dividing by 3 will be to multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply by 3 on both sides. And that will leave me with the 3's on the left side cancel out, or they simplify to 1. 1 times y is just y. And I'm left with negative 6 times 3. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. And that is my answer. And we can check very quickly. We can check very quickly to see if we got this correct. We can substitute negative 18 for y. Well, we know that negative 18 divided by 3 is in fact negative 6. So our answer is correct. Okay, so on this one, we have 0.05x is equal to 1.4. We know that the 0.05 is being multiplied times that x. Well, the opposite of multiplying 0.05 times x is dividing 0.05 on both sides. So when I divide by 0.05, it simplifies to 1, and I'm left with 1x is equal to, let me use my calculator very quickly, 1.4 divided by 0.05, that will be 28. 28. Yeah, that's it. That is how we solve these problems. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and make sure that you hit that button where it says to allow notifications so you can see every video that I post, if it's relevant to you, of course. Bye-bye. See you on the next video.